Three, two, one. All right, guys. Today we got a great guest, good man, Azreal. Please, can you tell us when you came to Ukraine and a little bit about your story and just take it from there?
Yeah, certainly. So I came to Ukraine in early March 2022. I think it was around the 2nd of March, so it'd only been about a week after the full-scale invasion. The short answer is a friend of mine used to do some work in Ukraine with training military, something along those lines. I'm not completely sure what it was, but
Okay.
he called me up just before the war started, full-scale invasion started, and asked if I would be interested in coming to Ukraine to do some training. If it all kicked off, I said, yeah, it would be something I'd be interested in, and pretty much just went from there. Honestly, I didn't think that Russia would invade. I thought it was all just a lot of scaremongering with the media. But as soon as they did, I booked my ticket and came to Ukraine.
Well, I want to thank you for your service. Can you please kind of explain to some of the listeners what Ukraine is like as a country, like coming here as your first experience?
I mean, there's no other place on earth like Ukraine. It is. It's a crazy place. I love Ukraine. I really did fall in love with Ukraine. What is it like? It is a place where you will find almost no logic in anything. You need 1,000 stamps to do anything in the country. The roads are absolutely awful. The people are amazing. The scenery is beautiful. It's literally everything you can imagine in one place, the good and the bad.
Well, so what was your like specific like role in all of this? What did you end up doing?
Again, so initially I was supposed to come to do training, but obviously, as you can imagine, 1 week after the invasion, there was no real organisation. Certainly, anyone that was able to be sent to the front line or to go volunteer to go to the front line, they did. Obviously, that Kyiv gave out a lot of weapons, and all these people just went out to fight. So by the time I arrived, I just realised there was not going to be any sort of structure for training that time, and there was an American guy in Yavoriv when I arrived, and he said, if you've got prior military experience, we're getting on a bus now and going to Kyiv to help with pushing the Russians back.
Battle of
Is that
Kiev.
something you want to get involved in? That's correct. Yeah. So it was the very first place was Moshun. I agreed. Next thing I know, I'm getting loaded onto a bright yellow school bus with about $2 million worth of explosives, and off to Kyiv we went. So the training didn't really come into play until later on in 2022.
Can I ask you a question? Did you see any like Russian war crimes throughout the northern villages of Kiev? Like, did you witness this?
I mean, we saw the remnants of it. I didn't like see anything firsthand, if that makes sense. Didn't see any Russians killing civilians, but I did see lots of dead civilians. Obviously, lots of infrastructure damage with civilians still living in them. Moshun was a real eye opener. As I say, it was the first place I went to in Ukraine, and I've never seen destruction like it. I remember we were doing a patrol down this road to get into the forests just outside of Moshun, and there was a guy like with his window open smoking, and he must have been shell shocked because half his house was missing, but yet he still felt the need to open his window to smoke. So civilians were still living in these houses, and they were just the artillery was just raining down 24/7. So yeah, I mean, in them sort of crimes, we've seen the remnants of it, but nothing that we witnessed firsthand. Well, certainly not myself, anyway.
Yeah, that first-hand witness of just the pure destruction of war is incredible here in Ukraine.
Oh yeah, like I say, a real eye opener. And unfortunately, it's just got worse since 2022. I mean, now we go to villages, and they're there one day, and the next day they're just completely flattened. It's very sad.
Could you tell us a little bit about maybe some of your combat role and maybe how you got wounded yourself?
Yeah, so I got wounded in Zaporizhia in 2023, June 2023. 23 it was. So my role is an assaulter in an infantry unit. We was in Zaporizhia, just assaulting Russian trenches, or at least that's what our job was. And there was obviously a lot of talk about the counteroffensive, when it was going to be. We knew it was going to come soon, but no one really knew when. And then about 40 minutes before we were about to go out and do a mission, we was told that the mission's changed, and we're now going to assault as part of like a multiple regiment assault on the Russians' positions in Zaporizhia. And we understood that was obviously the start of the counteroffensive. Unfortunately, that mission was just horrible from start to finish. We didn't have enough time to plan. We had about 40 minutes. The maps we was looking at was hand-drawn. We ended up getting dropped off in the wrong location, so straight into a minefield on a crossroad of all places. Pretty much all our vehicles got taken out as soon as we arrived. And then, gosh, within about 30 seconds of hitting the deck, I just felt a thud in my shoulder. And I'd been hit by a round.
Yeah, so that is in Zaporizhia, Ukraine. Could you kind of like describe to our listeners who might not be familiar with the geography, but like where's Zaporizhia? Why were you on a mission there?
I mean, so Zaporizhia is an oblast in the south of Ukraine, southeast, and it's one of the main hubs. So Russia is obviously they're stating that they feel that Zaporizhia, Donetsk and Kherson belongs to them. So that is kind of where the main fighting was taking place, certainly in 2023. So yeah, they had a huge presence down in Zaporizhia, and Zaporizhia is a horrible place to fight because it's just completely open. For as far as the eye can see, there's not a huge amount of natural coverage.
Yeah, farmland. And sir, how did you get yourself out of this situation when you got wounded?
Well, thankfully, so I got wounded. So I got shot in the shoulder. Another guy run through razor wire that was hidden in the grass. So he sliced his knee down to the bone. And then another British lad was moving from his position to our position and stood on a what do you call them, like a butterfly mine, effectively, like a toe popper, and got some severe damage. We kind of all got into one location, and our commander was able to radio for a vehicle to come and collect us. I was skeptical if anyone would come because, as I say, all our vehicles had dropped us off in that location. Got destroyed as soon as we arrived, but thankfully someone turned up in I think it's an M113 and picked us up and got us out of there. And I don't really remember a lot after that, if I'm honest. I remember going to the stabilization point, and they gave me some really good drugs, and I don't remember much after that.
Thank God. Wow, that is absolutely that is real. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I got lucky. So I was hit by a 7.62, so we believe it was a sniper round because it was a single shot. But I mean, it went straight into my shoulder, but it completely missed all the nerves, the muscles, the bone. I just got caught in the fatty tissue, so there was no lasting damage. And I healed relatively quickly. Within about 6 weeks, I was back training again, shooting with that arm. So I got extremely lucky. I thank God for that.
Thank God. So how long did it take you to get to the medical point, like from casualty collection point?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, the medical treatment for me personally, and I know other guys has had very different experiences, but for me it was just so smooth. So I mean, from getting picked up from the assault, we got to the stabilization point probably within about an hour. I was in the stabilization point. They had to remove the round was still in my shoulder, so they knocked me out. So I'm not sure how long I was there for. From there, I went to Zaporizhia Hospital. The next day, I was put on a bus, sent to Dnipro. I was in Dnipro for 2 days, again put in an ambulance, and then sent to Kyiv. I was in Kyiv for maybe about 5 or 6 days, and then I was put on a train to Lviv, and then I was in Lviv for about 5 or 6 days again. So, I mean, everything how it was supposed to go. Now, we have jokes in Ukraine, okay? If something can go wrong, it absolutely will go wrong. But everything with the medical side was just so smooth. Everything happened when it was supposed to happen. And my care was much better than I would have received back home. Now, I do know other guys that their experience was a lot different than mine, but I can't say enough of how good the doctors are here and the care that I received.
That whole like process, I was in the U.S. military doing like nine-line medevacs, just trying to get the casualty within the golden hour to some kind of like casualty collection point onwards is such like a serious responsibility. It's good to hear that the Ukrainian military is able to keep this logistical line running. But I want a lot of the viewers to understand that even some of these places that you went to next, like Dnieper and then on to Kiev, they're still getting attacked by the enemy, like all of these cities all the time.
Oh, so the next day after I got shot, I was in Zaporizhia hospital, and I was woken up by the hospital getting hit by a rocket on the other side. So I wasn't affected; I wasn't damaged by it. But yeah, it's just amazing. They're still attacking hospitals, let alone the cities. You're not safe anyway. I'm currently in Sumy at the moment, and obviously Sumy's just had a Shihad drone go straight into its regional hospital. So, I mean, all these cities are under heavy attacking, and there's no safety.
Sir, so today's date is April 4th, 2025. What do you think is the outcome of what's soon to be here in the war? Do you think things are going to escalate? Do you believe in any of these deals being made by the United States? Do you believe that the European Union and Great Britain will do more for Ukraine to come to some kind of ceasefire resolution?
Yeah, this is a good question. In terms of the politics, I try not to get involved or think about it too much because I'm here to do a job, right? I don't want to get clouded by the rest of it. In terms of deals that's going on, and obviously Donald Trump becoming president, I do feel that quite possibly Trump could get a deal to end the war, but I think it's going to be a very shitty deal for Ukraine. Trump's a businessman, and he's going to do what he feels best for the United States, and to a certain degree, I agree with that. In terms of ceasefires, if there was ever an agreed ceasefire, it would be only that, a verbal agreement. There will never really be a ceasefire because what will happen is the same thing what happened since 2014 in Donetsk. There'll just be little pockets of Russian-backed separatists that will continue fighting in different areas. Personally, I don't see it being a ceasefire, and when the war does end, I do believe it will be a bittersweet ending. There'll be no great victory party like a lot of Ukrainians believe. I think we'll have no choice. Ukraine will have no choice but to give up territory if the United States decides to just pull all the funding because they are one of the biggest funders at the moment. And in terms of United Kingdom and Europe doing more, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would ever happen. I mean, they're doing a lot as it is, but could they do more? Yeah, they could. Whether they will or not is
who's the new Prime Minister of Great Britain? A lot of our American viewers don't understand this.
So this is Keir Starmer.
And who is he, and when was he elected Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? Because last was Boris Johnson, who's now the ambassador to Ukraine.
Yeah, so since Boris Johnson, we've had a couple actually. So yeah, now it's Sir Keir Starmer. Again, I can't really comment. I've been in Ukraine for 3 years. I've not been home, so I can't really comment on whether he's a good prime minister or not. But from what I understand from back home, they seem not to like him.
Yes, sir.
But then we're British. We like to complain about everybody, so maybe he is good.
Roger that. Sir, do you have any last things you'd like to say personally?
I mean, I tell you what is the most common thing that people say to me back home, and maybe your viewers will think the same, and it's something I'd like to address. There's a lot of, so we rely on, okay, as a military, okay, we are very self-funded. We don't get a lot from the regiment, and a lot of people feel that America's given billions of dollars, so why do soldiers need to raise money to buy clothes or kit and equipment? Well, Ukraine doesn't really receive that in money. They receive in, obviously, weapons or ammunition, artillery shells, all these sort of things, training of Ukrainian soldiers. So the country doesn't get a lot of money, and it doesn't really supply a lot of the kit and equipment to the soldiers. And anything that it does supply is very basic. So we always have to do fundraisers. We're always, kind of begging people to give us money so we can buy this stuff. And now I'm getting a lot of, when we are speaking to certain charities, a lot of the regular donators are saying, well, do we need to continue donating because it's probably going to be a ceasefire? And the answer to that question is yes, because probably is not a yes. It's a maybe. And right now I see that Putin is really just trying to grind things down for Ukraine, but to continue the war. And we can't afford to not be ready, or not be well prepared, or not be well equipped. Does that make sense? So if people's wondering if they should still be helping in any way, not just financially, maybe sending items or coming out to Ukraine to help in humanitarian aid, then yeah, absolutely you should. Because even if the war was to end tomorrow, there's still so much work to be done in this country. And on the back of that, as I say, people to come to Ukraine, I just want to also put out there's a lot of foreigners that come to Ukraine to fight. And I will say, if you don't have prior military experience in your own respective countries, Ukraine really isn't the place to come to get experience, if that makes sense. It's not like in the movies. You will die here.
Well, thank you. That was a really a good message to send out there, because it's true. Everything you said there is right on point. So I want to thank you again, sir, for coming out today, and I want to thank you for your service. So,
Thanks very much for your time.
all right, goodbye.